Welcome to the Hustle Skirt Podcast, the show that brings you economic equity for everyone, every day, with your host, Debra Gould. Yes, I am Debra Washington Gould, President and CEO of Debra Gould and Associates, Inc. DGAI is a New Orleans-based management consulting and performance management business founded in 1996. Please visit my website at www.gouldassociates.com to learn more about my professional service offerings in management consulting, training, facilitating, executive coaching, and business motivational keynoting. www.gouldassociates.com. If you're joining the Hustle Skirt for the very first time, let me tell you the mission and purpose of the Hustle Skirt podcast is to promote, communicate, and amplify the influence of men and women entrepreneurial for-profit businesses who are doing some extraordinary and excellent work in their products and services, whether they are small or large companies. They are in the business community as advocate to make the business work and to be of service to all mankind. We are mentoring young entrepreneurs, and mentoring meaning how to help that startup or seasoned business. So my guests come from different reasons to support what they do in the business community, because we understand that small businesses or even large businesses, we are the cornerstone of what's happening in our United States of America. With that being said, just know that my guest today, Delta Personnel, the founder and CEO, Teresa Lawrence, and I've had the pleasure to meet Teresa and David Lawrence. But today we have one of the high-level senior person in the organization, Kimberly Green, who will be representing Delta Personnel today. And just maybe in the future, I will have again both Kimberly and Teresa here on Hustle Skirt Podcast. Just know Delta Personnel is a for-profit business, and every once in a while, I might just surprise you with a C-suite or a higher executive with a corporation, government, or nonprofit organization. So you got to keep tuning in to the Hustle Skirt Podcast. With that being said, my guest today, Kimberly Green, along with any other guest appearance on the Hustle Skirt, we are here to share stories of overcoming challenges and obstacles, pursuing opportunities, victories, accomplishment, achievements, and succeeding in various settings in their organization or businesses. With that being said, y'all, are you ready for me to introduce my guest today on the Hustle Skirt? And she is no other than Kimberly S. Green, MBA, Head of Strategy and Business Development at Delta Personnel, Inc. Kimberly is the Head Strategy and Business Development at Delta Personnel, but let me tell you about her credential and the strength that she brings to this company. Strong staple in the community, focusing on economic development and socio-economic growth. So please, to my listening audience, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Kimberly S. Green today. Hi, Kim.
Hey.
How you doing, my
It is a pleasure.
You're looking sensational. And
thank you.
I see that Delta Personnel signature logo in the back is looking good.
Yes, it is always a pleasure to be in your presence, virtually or in person.
Well, Kimberly, before we kick this off, I just want to send out a shout to Teresa and David Lawrence, my long history, probably some 30 plus years in my network, and just super fantastic people. So please send my hello to David and Teresa. Would you do that for me?
Absolutely. I definitely will.
So let's do this, Kimberly. I have 3 questions, and I always like to engage my guest interview with. I'm going to start out with a general one, followed by a specific, and let's close out with a fun question.
I'm ready. Let's go.
You ready? All right.
I'm ready.
Let's turn it up, Kimberly. So my first question, why did Delta personnel owners decide to start their own business?
So as you know, Delta Personnel has been around and a staple in New Orleans for over 60 years. It started off with Mr. Lawrence, right? David Lawrence's father, and he saw a need. He actually had an engineering background, but he saw a need where, connecting people with businesses. And back then, it wasn't as prominent as it is now, but even then he saw where there was a labor pain, right? That's our logo, solving labor pains. So he saw that there were labor pains in different industries. So he decided to start something where he would be the bridge to bring a person to a position. So the companies that were in need will continue to be operationally sound. They wouldn't experience these bottlenecks and things like that. So fast forward, Mr. Lawrence, rest in peace. You have our owners today, as you talked about, Teresa and David Lawrence. They basically took the torch and just carried it on, right? To continue to be engulfed in New Orleans, in the New Orleans community, and continue to drive that economic development, because what drives economic development is, one, companies having sufficient staff, being operationally sound, and those employers or employees being able to earn a living wage. So those together, the businesses will grow. And as the employees are working and making a living wage, they're able to then go back and invest in the community. And that's how we push our communities forward. So that was the vision. And we continue to strive to continue that vision and that mission that started 60 years ago.
Well, I want to say, Kimberly, you brought that message, and that was excellent. So shout out to you, Kimberly. I'm sure Teresa and David will be gleaming. I just learned more about the history. I didn't realize that the birth of it started with the father 60 years ago. I see Teresa on the regular compared to David, but whenever I'm in the same space with David, the two of us, we're cut up. But Teresa, her presence in the business community, we're both on the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And I tell you, there's so many other great things she's doing in the community. I'm just proud of both David and Teresa for carrying that flag to the next level. And hopefully their daughter someday will continue the business, because she's doing some wonderful things in the business community with Delta personnel. And I like that, putting people with the position as well as that pain that most corporations need to keep that consistency going. So they found a good solution. And all I can say, keep working it.
Right.
That's right. So we're going to keep this going, but that was wonderful. How do you, and we're going to move to a specific question here. How do you stay on top of industry trends?
Being in the room. I say it all the time, and even in different industries, and they'll ask, like, how are you guys growing? How are you doing this? Being in the room, being present in the moment, the professional networks, and it's just being out there. It's being out there, being in the community, because that's the only way that you're gonna know what's going on, what's needed. is hearing about it, is knowing about it, is being, going to, I tell people sessions a lot of times, right, in Baton Rouge, just open. You learn what's going on and what's coming down and the different things that's, the different initiatives that's going on in Louisiana. So that's a large part of staying, on top of the industry trends, is learning exactly what initiative, first of all, your market has. So if your market is economic development, then you position yourself to push the envelope of economic development. So that is a trend, and that's going to assist you and help you to grow and continue to grow, because you're in line with what your community and what your market's vision is. So you align your vision with that, and it's going to be I hate to say an easy flow, but you'll flow a little bit easier because you're all aligned with what your market is trying to do. So if you're swimming upstream, you're going the opposite direction of what your market is doing, then it's time to go back. It's time to revamp. It's time to scale and do a little bit of research about what's going to happen. And again, it's connection, it's staying, your professional network, because the network is important. Even if you don't know, if you get with your network can let you know maybe what this trend is. And partnering with those that's in your same industry. Don't always look at them like they are your direct
competition.
Yes,
Yeah.
they can help you. You can partner. You guys together is a force. And they may know something that you may have missed, or you may know something that they may have missed, because it's enough out here. It's enough out here for everyone. And partnerships create efficiency, in my opinion. So those are my little nuggets, I would say, in staying
They were
abreast.
excellent golden nuggets because you said some key things on staying on top of the industry trends. I like the piece that you shared on the partnership. We can't be scared or afraid to look at our competition, just make you much better. But at the same time, sometimes projects you take on is much larger than you can handle. Get in the habit of partnership. I heard you say what helps you stay on top of the trend is that network. Teresa is a tremendous, and I've watched you, just observing you, Kimberly, in your industry and the way you work the room, is being able to network, build that nurturing business relationship, to leave that door open for partnership. I see that the two of you making the point in your leveraging your certification, getting out to those networking opportunities. And all that makes a difference in growing the business. And so that was a good nugget, several good nuggets as you uh, kind of crafted the way you wanted to answer. Give me your response to this question. So we're going to end it with this final question. Tell me about yourself.
Lord, so about me, I am a Chicago native. I lived in New Orleans for a very long time, though. I lived in New Orleans a total now of 18 years. Um, I would say I became an executive. I told the story. I became an executive at a very young age of 22 years old. And my background was in logistics at that time. So it was nobody else that looked like me. And it was nobody else even my age. So I took a lot of L's, and I mean that in the hit of confidence, right? Being in the room, not thinking I should be here. I don't know enough, was just strictly going off of education. But I will say this, in learning and growing, becoming educated. I'm right now studying for my DBA. So I'll be a doctor, God say the same, in about 9 months. But leveraging all of those experiences throughout the years, but being able to actually give back and tell someone. Like I coach, I mentor. A lot of times I mentor my internal team. I'm an inclusive leader, whereas I don't tell them what to do. I lead them, or guide them, but I empower them to make decisions. And when they ask me a question, I say, so what I would do is this, but what do you think? Because I feel like when you're empowered, you're open, you'll make decisions. And I always say, it's nothing in here that you can break that I can't fix. or we can't fix together. So don't ever be afraid to, take that initiative and take that leadership. But that's a little bit about me. My mentees will ask me, when did you gain this confidence, or have you always been this confident? And I'll be like, absolutely not. This took
Oh,
about 15 years to get here, when I walk in the room. But you know what? It was all the L's that I took that lets me know when I walk in the room, I deserve to be there. So, like I said, that's a little bit about me, a little bit about my background. I plan to be a New Orleans a native for a long time.
this is a great city.
Yeah, and I'm engulfed in it now. I've been here so long. But I'm very big on, I'm big on economic development, assisting other businesses, small businesses, giving them any idea that I can give them, to grow and to scale, and anything that I've learned throughout the thing. I'm big on, like I say that I'm big on partnership. So that's something, something about me is partnership. If I can help you grow, that's also going to help me grow, because I'm going to speak your name in rooms that you're not in hopes that they would do the same for me.
All right now. Well, Kimberly, thank you so much. I've learned so much about your background by asking you that question. Tell me about yourself. And I did not know that you're a native of Chicago, one of my favorite cities, only in the spring and summertime. I try to stay away from the windy city of Chi-Town, but you're in a good place with a wonderful city, our great city of New Orleans. But in answering that question for me, tell me something about yourself, about being an inclusive leader. It's great to know that you're not micromanaging your team, but you give them the space to grow, and empowerment, because those are things that help your team. And so thank you for sharing that. But we're going to close up. I'm going to ask you this one thing to do for me. When you think of the word equity, can you describe just one word for me?
Opportunity.
Ooh, that works. That works. Opportunity. Thank you for that good word, opportunity. And we're going to close out at this moment. I want you to know this was a great interview. I learned so much more about Delta personnel, and just maybe Teresa have taken the time. I've been in her audience because she's been a keynote on programs that I've had, but to kind of slow down and use my active listening. I didn't know about the father history, starting the business. So we're going to close out by just reminding folks again, the Hustle Skirt podcast objective is to empower. That was your good word as you address something about yourself, to empower you to speak up. And that's exactly what this age 22 person who started her background in logistics, and over the span of 15 years, how she has put the combination of her being that so strategic. Look where her career has taken her, and to be in our great city of New Orleans. So it's to empower you to speak up, speak out, and embrace change. And she also did that wonderfully too, to embrace that change. But we want you to embrace change in your vision, your mission, your purpose as a starting business, or a young entrepreneur, or just someone who is a very seasoned existing company. Get fired up about what you're so passionate about. And that's the contribution that Kimberly S. Green, MBA, and soon to be in the next 9 months, doctor. And before I close out, Kimberly, please share your contact information with my audience one more time.
Absolutely. So it's deltapersonnel.com. So www.deltapersonnel.com. It's Delta Personnel on all social media. So you'll find us at Delta Personnel Inc. on all social medias. You can find me if you want to find me. I'm Kimberly Green, MBA, and you can find me and just click on Delta Personnel, because of course I follow my company. Phone number 504-833-5200. And I always say, Delta Personnel, we are the epidural to your labor pains. So make sure, we want to make sure you're operationally sound. So anytime you feel like, oh, I'm having labor pains, just remember that. Delta Personnel, oh, that's my epidural. I'm going to contact them.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm going to say to my Hustle Skirt audience one more time, make sure to visit our website at www.persistentlane.com. That's one word, persistentlane.com, where you can subscribe to the Hustle Skirt podcast. And when you get there to persistentlane.com, there's 9 different platforms, from Google Podcasts, Amazon FM, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and iHeartRadio, just to name a few of the 9. And while you're at it, if you like this interview today with Delta Personnel, we would appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you just can tell a friend, someone in your business network, that Kimberly S. Green was the guest today on Hustle Skirt. So let's like it on iTunes. And again, you're listening to the Hustle Skirt podcast, the show that brings you economic equity for everyone. Did I say everyone? Every day, with your host, Debra Gould. Until we meet again, I'll see you in the business community at some outreach program, Kimberly, or a networking happy hour, or just at another chamber event. But it's always a pleasure, madam, to see you.
Yes,
Take
ma'am.
care. Have a super fantastic day. Until we meet again, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.